In this prism, we have two triangular surfaces, that is front and back, and three rectangular surfaces, this and down. And here these two we are considering it as refracting surfaces. When light ray passes through this, it will be refracting under this and it will come out, emerged out. Now, so that we can observe it. So when light ray incident on this, so on AB surface it is refracting once, then at AC surface also it is refracting once more. Now these two are normals. Generally, to find refracted light rays, we will be drawing the normals. With respect to normals, we can draw refracted light rays. Now, the angle between incident light ray and normal, I am taking it as angle of incidence. The angle between emergent light ray and normal, I am taking it as angle of emergence. I am taking E. We can take it as I1, I2 also. Here, for convenience, I am taking IE only. Next, here we got two angles of angle of refractions. Here one angle of refraction R1. Here one more angle of refraction R2. Right? So here the two normals meeting point, I am considering it as some O. Next, if we extend this incident light ray, we are getting a line, dotted lines I am showing because it is not existing actually. And this emergent light ray also I am extending. So angle between these two, we will consider it as angle of deviation. That means the light ray has to move in this particular path, but it is finally moving in this way. So how much it is deviated from its actual path can be found based on this angle. Okay, so that is what angle of deviation. Small d I am indicating. Next, here I am considering some point. The angle where we have considered angle of deviation, this point I am considering it as a capital D. This capital D has other name. We will find it out next. And this point of intersection, here I am taking it as P, and here I am taking it as a Q. So for convenience, for derivation, it will be easy if you take all these points. Next. So in quadrilateral APOQ, APOQ, if you take this quadrilateral, so in any quadrilateral, internal angles will be equal to 360 degrees. 360 degrees, whereas at this P and at this Q, these two are normals, N1O and N2O are normals. That means at this particular place, the angle will be 90. So at angle P and at angle Q, the angles are 90 degrees. And only A and O are not 90s. So if I take sum of all these, is already we know 180 degrees. Now, so angle A plus angle P plus angle O plus angle Q. So all those will be equal to 360 degrees. But already we know this is 90, this is 90. So angle P plus angle Q is 180, 90 plus 90. So if I write for angle A plus angle O, 360 minus 180, 180 we will get. So what we are going to get is angle A plus angle O is equals to 180 degrees we are getting. Okay, that is what we can write from quadrilateral. Next, all these we are going to do for angle of incidence and angle of refraction only ultimately. So this is how we are getting means angle, this N1 and N2 are normal, these two will become equal to 90. So we will be getting angle A plus angle O as 180 degrees since 360 minus 180 is 180. Next, we go with next in triangle OPQ. So this OPQ, if we take, so sum of angles in a triangle will be equal to 180 degrees. So angle O plus R1 plus R2 is equals to 180 degrees. Right? Now, so this I can use further. So in triangle DPQ, if you take DPQ, here little bit of extension we need to see. Already what we know is this is R1, this part is R1, this total is 90. Okay, and see this is I and this also will be I, this part is I. So and this is R1. So this part, if you want to know this part, so I minus R1 it will become this angle. and here also it will become E minus R2, it will become this part, because alternate angles are equal. So this is I1, this total will be I1. So from this I1, this if we subtract R1, if we subtract I1 minus R1, we get from here. And from here, E minus R2 also will be getting. Okay, that is internal angles in triangle DPQ. So again angle D we won't be knowing. Okay, now for that if you write angle D plus this angle and this angle, these three angles will be equal to 180 degrees. So that is what we are going to write next. Okay, that if we see, so small d is equals to external angle can be written as sum of interior angles. Interior angle is I minus R1, E minus R2. So I minus R1 plus E minus R2 is equals to exterior angle. So from triangle as we can write exterior angle in a triangle will be equal to sum of two opposite interior angles. That is what we have written. Now, so from this, if we write, if we extend I plus E minus R1 minus R2, minus if I take common, minus of R1 plus R2 we can write. This I am taking it as equation number 3. Now I got an expression for D, and R1 plus R2 plus O is equals to 180 degrees we have. This if I use in this, so from 1 and 2, from these two expressions if we write, so what we can write in, if we compare this directly, 180 is there on right hand side, O is there on left hand side. In place of A here R1 plus R2 is there. Directly we can write A is equals to R1 plus R2 we can write just by comparing equation 1 and 2. A is equals to R1 plus R2 we got. This if I substitute over here in equation 3, what do we get? D is equals to I plus E minus A we can write by substituting this A expression, that means R1 plus R2 expression in equation number 3, right? Now this we got an expression in terms of small d in terms of A. Now further, if we write the same further, what we can write, I plus E is equals to A plus D we can write. Up to here we can say it as part 1. Next further if we move, this is we have concluded to angle of incidence and angle of emergence will be equal to angle of prism and angle of deviation. Here one more concept we will introduce. So the same thing we are writing, sum of angle of incidence and angle of emergence is equals to angle of prism and angle of deviation. Next, further what we see is, here we are incidenting some light ray. If we change this angle of incidence, automatically angle of emergence also changes. If angle of emergence and angle of incidences are changing, if these two are changing, automatically D also changes, angle of deviation. So angle of deviation changes with angle of incidence. So if we take a graph with respect to for different angles of incidence, for different angles of deviations, so that if we see how it will be, we'll just see that angle of incidence if I take it on x-axis, and angle of deviation if I take it on y-axis. So what happens, we'll get a graph like this. That means initially the angle of deviation may be high for small angle of incidence, but as we increase angle of incidence, angle of deviation gradually decreases and it becomes a minimum. After that value, gradually it will be increasing. The angle of deviation will be increasing for a certain value. Now, wherever we have angle of deviation minimum, that particular value, whatever we get angle of incidence, here we will be having I value, no? That I value, for that I value, angle of emergence also will be same. That means I will be equal to E. So when I will be equal to E, angle of deviation will be minimum. And here, whatever value we have, correspondingly, if we take here, straight if we take, whatever value we get on angle of deviation line, this deviation is minimum. That minimum deviation I am indicating with some letter D minimum or capital D. Okay, anything you can indicate. Now, as in your textbook, capital D is there. I am following the same. Next, so when angle of incidence increases, the angle of deviation decreases. So angle of incidence increases, angle of deviation decreases. So at a particular value of angle of incidence, angle of deviation will be minimum. That value of angle of deviation, we are calling it as angle of minimum deviation. So in terms of angle of minimum deviation, if you write angle of minimum deviation, I am taking it as capital D. At this value, I will be equal to E, and of course R1 also will be equal to R2, means angle of refraction will be equal, that I am taking equal to R, right? Next, these if we substitute in previous expressions, already in equation 3 we got I plus E is equals to A plus D we got. So in that if we substitute, I and E both are equal. So if we write, so refractive index of material of prism, if we write A is equals to, already we got R1 plus R2 from equation 1 and 2 we got this expression. In this if we substitute, R1 and R2 both are equating to R, so that if we write 2R it will become R is equals to, if we write A by 2 we get. So for Snell's law we require R and I. Now we got R value, I also will try to find out. So I plus E is equals to A plus D we got, we just derived it. So in this, I and E both are equal. So for that, I plus I, that means 2I is equals to A plus D. So I is equals to, if we write A plus D by 2. R we got and A also we got for this. So according to Snell's law, so Snell's law already we know, sine, the ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction will be equal to a constant. That constant is refractive index. So here refractive index can be taken in terms of mu or n. So if we take it as mu sin I by sin R1, because angle of incidence we have taken it as I, and angle of refraction R1. So sin I by sin R I am writing. So for this if we write n is equals to sin A plus D by 2 by sin A by 2. These values I have substituted. In place of I we got A plus D by 2. In place of R we got A by 2. Okay. So these we just substituted, and we got an expression for refractive index. Refractive index can be indicated by mu, or it can be indicated by n also. So this is how we get a relation for refractive index of a prism in terms of angle of prism and angle of minimum deviation. So here where D is angle of minimum deviation, not deviation. Okay. So that is how we get an expression for refractive index of prism.